It has been that kind of day. Hey, everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat, the love boat. You're on the boat. Hope you're having a good day. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. Hello, Renee B. Glad that you are here. Natalie, I'm glad you are here. Hey, David, Caroline in Canada. What's happening? People, we're gonna discuss a little true crime today, and sort of the depressing state of affairs of a genre that I really kind of dig. Uh, just Joan, good to see you. Debbie, glad you're here. Krista Melinda, Wes Lightburn, good to have you. Uh, so the true crime genre is one of the most popular genres in all of content creation. For whatever reason, people really groove to stories of true crime. And uh, if you look at sort of what's going on, hello, Ann, Wendy, how are you? If you look at it, what happens, it sort of goes in cycles. Jonathan Smut, good to see you. If you look at all of the stuff that's being put up on Netflix and on all of the big sort of streaming platforms, you see an awful lot of sort of rehashing of crimes from the past. It's it's an unusual place right now. The amount, and I spent a lot of time doing true crime. Cricket, what's up? The dream of elegance. Glad you're here. It's an unusual thing to watch the industry sort of go to hell. Thank you, David. That's a fun thing. I mean, that's a nice thing to say. It's a bummer to watch this kind of happen, but like I kind of parachuted out when the Diddy stuff got really kind of ridiculous, and as ridiculous as it got, it made a lot of money for a lot of people. And some of the people, Anna Banana, good to have you here. Love my life. What a great name. Uh, I kind of bowed out of the whole Diddy story. Like I will come and I will weigh in on it from time to time, but it is absolutely fascinating to have been dead center in the middle of it, and to now be on the outside of it and watching the exact same feeding frenzy happen. The only difference being now is that it's happening post conviction, right? All of this stuff that is sort of getting dredged up, and a lot of it is just, I don't know, it's as sensational as the first time around. It almost looks like TMZ has just got this absolutely on lock to make a fortune during this shit show that is the post conviction period of time for Sean Combs. It borders on mind bending. How often they pop out with a story, and they got photos. There's a new video now being shown of Diddy walking. It looks like towards the chapel. That's how they identified it over on TMZ. It also, I mean, I guess we take their word for it on that. It could be Meredith Lynn. Good to see you. Hello, Ashley G. It's hard to get an idea. Jamie Palmer, what's up? It's hard to get an idea of exactly what's going on inside a facility that you haven't been in. It looks like it could be education. They all kind of look alike. There's nothing that, you don't see big crucifixes and things like that at the chapel. It sounds like you would, but the chaplain has to basically oversee the religion for the prison for everybody. So if you got 4 Rastafarians on there, then your chaplain will be doing Rastafarian ceremonies as well. It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of a difficult video to decipher anything out of. The way it's being spun is all over the internet now is that a guy walked up to Diddy and started talking to him, and the guy didn't have a smile on his face, and Diddy kind of looked scared. The guy kind of waved his finger. It didn't look like anything that would be prison aggression in the sense of the word that. I don't know. It didn't look like anything. It looked like 2 guys having a conversation, but they've got to continually create stories from this crap. They also did an interview with Diddy's kid, and Diddy's kid said, yeah, my dad's going to be home by Christmas, maybe even before Christmas. This kind of foolishness is it's going to drive all kinds of views, and it's designed by people that just want to BS you. Do me a favor and put a 2 in the chat if you have seen the picture of Donald Trump sort of getting down in front of Bill Clinton in A Monica Lewinsky pose. How would that be for somewhat politically correct? Audra in Denver. He's kneeling in front of the guy, and it's very suggestive. It kind of looks like he's undoing the dude's fly. There's no truth to this thing. You can use AI tools pretty easy. Diddy does not have any TVs in his cell. On that, I can promise you. The way that in the state system, they sell television sets, usually flat screens. They're about 18 inches corner to corner, whatever. I would imagine that what Diddy is probably stocking up on is food. I'm sure that he's putting money on a lot of people's books. Obviously, he was buying some. Obviously, he was buying a little bit of hooch, right? We know that happened. I still have people making videos going, there's no proof whatsoever to that. He gets due process. If the days came off his sentence, due process is over. That fool either went in there and pled guilty, which would be the right thing to do, because if you don't, you could get 60 days off the back of your sentence instead of getting 27. But as soon as they started talking about drinking, and I did the first show on it, and I broke down the whole Fanta and Apple thing, I wasn't breaking the story. I was just weighing in on it. But I said at the time, he's going to lose 27 days. It's just kind of standard operating procedure in a federal prison. When you screw up the first time with booze or with drugs, it's a lock. He doesn't have a cell, does he? He does not have a cell. However, dorms come in a lot of different varieties. My understanding is that, like many of the lower custody facilities in the BOP, you get lockers. Everybody in the prison system, unless you're in the segregated housing unit, you get a locker to put all your stuff in. There are 2 doors that open on it. It's probably 2.5 feet across. It's probably 4.5 feet high, somewhere in there. And everybody gets one. No two ways about it. And they use those in these dorm style facilities to kind of create little sections, right? So you might have 4 bunk beds in that section, or 8 bunk beds or whatever it is they have it. So he doesn't have a cell, but there are little sections that you kind of have to walk through a narrow opening in order for you to enter it. It's odd. Did he have a lot of money to get himself out of jail? Yeah, well, here's the thing. He's lost a ton of money. Does the guard who filmed that get in trouble? Yeah, the guard that, if it was a guard that filmed it, I don't think it was a guard that filmed it. It just looks to me like this may be the kind of yard where there are cell phones, because it is really, I mean, you might be able to sell that for 10 grand, right? 15 grand. But there are places all over the BOP, especially at lower custody levels, where people can get stuff like cell phones. The custody level at some of these facilities, and Diddy's in a low, right? But there's a camp attached. And whenever you have campers, you have people that literally can leave the jail, the prison rather, and come back. When I left the federal system, the guy that drove me to the airport was an inmate. Not, this is a guy doing time, but he's doing time at a camp. His job is to drive all of the people who are going to the airport. So he leaves the prison every single day. And, every guy says, hey, pull over, let me get a couple of packs of smokes. These guys are just getting out of prison. And a lot of this stuff sort of gets smuggled back in there, right? Diddy has a lot of money, somewhere in the 100 to 180 maybe $1 million range. But right now, he's got a lot of bills that are coming in. And, he owns a ton of properties. And by all accounts, he's got mortgages on a bunch of them, right? Yeah, it really is that simple. Just grab a phone while you're out. It's bad, but it's the truth. I told my husband that I'm not able to take part in Thanksgiving at all this year at home. I work 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., 20 miles from home. He grinned and said, we'll have pizza. You know what? I love that. I really do. I absolutely love that. We get hung up on things a lot. I remember a few Christmases in my life in different places where you just kind of looked around and thought, it's embarrassing. The amount of stuff and the amount of time and the amount of money spent just to get together and lose sight of whatever it is you were getting together to celebrate. You thought he turned his mother over to the money over to his mother. Well, there's a fight going on within the Diddy family of who is better suited to run this empire of sin. And while mom is definitely someone fighting for it, his kids are all over trying to get this too. And who would have thought this nice family would have got all greedy once Dad got sent up, right? Didn't see that coming. Fine family like that, like father like son. His youngest boy is still needing to deal with that pesky case that he had from the yacht, right? That I believe the woman's name was O'Markey, and he sexually assaulted this woman on a yacht. And there's a lot that's happening. There really is. There's an awful lot that is happening. From Wednesday through Friday, got way too many Thanksgiving to go to. You know what? I'm going to be getting into the spirit of it. The church that I go to is having a big Thanksgiving gathering, but I don't think I want to eat any bird or do any of that stuff. I think it's just going to be. I don't watch football or do any of that anymore. I gave that up a long time ago. So I don't know. I might walk on the beach, but I'm going to spend a decent amount of time thanking God. I think there's a lot to be thankful for. I'm going to sort of concentrate on that side of it. I love making special dinners like birthdays and stuff. When my son turned 21, I said you could make you a bourbon cheesecake. You know what? God forgive me. That's one of my favorite. I'm not a hard alcohol guy. I was never a guy that was super into hard alcohol, but I love the taste of bourbon. And I know people hate this, but it always makes me think of Christmas. My dad was not a drinker. He didn't. He just was not a guy that drank often. But at Christmas time, he always had a few bourbons, and that smell just always takes me back to Christmas. For real. Okay, so I would be really wary of where we go with what we watch online, because what's happening is the algorithms are getting absolutely stuffed. It's kind of fascinating if you get to a point where you start using different models for doing research. And I don't mean like ChatGPT, but if you've got an engine that looks over everything, regardless of who you're using, they're not going to find the information that is the truest. They're going to find the information that gets used the most, right? It's an algorithm. It's a reflection. It's going to look at, if this particular channel gets 9 million views, well, then obviously this is a channel that is more reliable, right? But sadly, that's how a lot of these models work. Hey, Roberta, good to see you. I'm glad you are here. Barbara, wait, what's happening? You're making a mini no-bake pumpkin cheesecake as well. You know what? You guys you're going to make me go out at some point here. I'm going to be running over to my friend's place to get some tiramisu. There are two restaurants that are a couple of 100 yards away from where I'm at that almost always have tiramisu. One always has it. The Italian place always has it. My other friend is shut down for the evening. Luigi, you've probably heard me talk about Luigi on here. I think Johnny's probably posted some shorts of Luigi. This dude he's the Eddie Van Halen of Italian food. He's not just an incredible chef, but watching this cat do what he does, I wish Quibs were here. She would back me up on this. He's in there and he's singing and he's dancing, and the kitchen is in the middle of the restaurant. So he's singing, he's dancing, and he's throwing wine on, and things are flaming up, and he's going over and snatching stuff off of little plants that are growing like basil leaves, and just throwing it all in. And it's absolutely part of the entire thing. I have a whole list of things to cook for Turkey Day, Tommy. I'm getting excited. You know what? I get it. I really do. It's one of those holidays that for most of my life I really used to get into, right? But I don't know. I was talking about this with my girl, and I'm really kind of fortunate that my family gets along pretty well, but there are so many families across the U.S. and around the world that holidays are painful. They're not fun, and that sucks. We do a lot of content here during the holidays, from about Thanksgiving to about New Year's. We put up a heck of a lot more content on the Lifeboat. We've been doing it since the very first year we started, because back then all we talked about was sobriety, and there were a lot of people on the channel that just didn't think they were going to get through the holidays, and so it started out as kind of a tradition to help people stay sober for the time of the year that's the hardest time to stay sober. It's also absolute hell inside. If someone is going to take their life, it's usually that week. It just gets kind of bad. 1 second, folks. I don't want to sound like Johnny Scaldo. That, and I got a cat making so much noise over there. I don't know if you could hear that. My cat is absolutely um, perfectly behaved, right? Squirrel does nothing wrong. Johnny's cat is absolutely demonic. I'm sorry. I mean, I know she's a nice girl and all of that, but uh, she's just out of control. And we're letting her into parts of the house that we didn't used to let her into, and now it's just there. These guys are insane, and it's just terrifying. It does suck. Glad I have the boat. You know what? The holidays are hard on a lot of people. It's not uniquely a drug thing. You know, every time the holidays roll around, there are a lot of people around the world who lost a significant other. Who's my all-time favorite band? Boy, you know what? That's a hard one. Uh, favorite band. Yeah, that's a really hard one. I like Queen a lot. All the old stuff, the Beatles, all of that. I really dug Queen. Their sound to me was always incredible. They've got a really sort of wide range. Really some great albums. But I saw the Stones a lot in concert. I saw Pink Floyd a lot in concert. And I dig both of those bands a lot. AC/DC is probably one of the best concert bands of all time, with the exception of Jim Brewer doing the AC/DC. He has a comedy routine he does on it where he sings the Hokey Pokey, and does it exactly like AC/DC. It's one of the funniest routines ever, and he can hit the exact same notes. It's funny to watch. And Brian Johnson and he got together and sang it. You know, the lead singer of AC/DC sang it with him. Black Sabbath, nothing wrong with Black Sabbath. Not the Bee Gees. Hey, there'll be no mocking of the Bee Gees. Seriously, Barry, Maurice. What was the third one's name? Barry, Maurice, and starts with an A. But I can't think of what it is. I think it starts with an A. Brewer was hilarious. The Who was great in concert. In the early 80s, yeah, you know what? Pink Floyd's my favorite. I've got 18 of their album. Nice. That's a Wes Laper. That is a Robin. Thank you. It's not an A, it's Robin Gibb. And I think the only one left is Barry, correct? Everybody else passed. My food mass will be strictly delivery, either from a diner or a grocery store. I'm all alone this year, and I actually love it. That's awesome. You know what? If you're feeling good about that, that's fantastic. I just want everybody to be feeling decent around the holidays. I really do. It's important. You know, this is a time where when people don't connect, terrible stuff happens. And I'm not for any reason saying this is ideal, right? In a perfect world, we all go and hang out with our families, and our family treats us lovely. And they don't, backbite and do and say passive aggressive stuff designed to hurt you. But those families exist, and you know what? You're better than that. You shouldn't have to put up with it, for real. You know, maybe this is the year where you say, I'd rather spend it virtually, or I'd rather do it with someone other than family. Sometimes that needs to happen. Well, it was a terrible time for me a long time ago. I lost my mother on a season like this one in 2001. My faith allows me to accept all things I cannot change. Wendy, yeah, Andy was the other brother. Well done. Andy was the first to go. The problem with cocaine, kind of tragic. He was. I remember his picture being on the wall of every single girl I knew. For real, Andy Gibb was a popular dude. It falls exactly on Thanksgiving Day. I am sorry, that is tough. I'm back in New York and have access to an Italian grocery store that you would love. Oh man, I would absolutely lose my mind. I really have a problem with all things Italian. No, you know what, Angel? I know. I always admonish that because there are always going to be the people that that go Bee Gees. I love the Bee Gees, man. I'm sorry, I do. I love ABBA. And no one has seen Reese here, correct? Ace of Base is pretty good. You know what I mean? I like Ace of Base. I can't say that in front of Reese. She loses it. I sure could use some prayers. It's my husband. His mood swings become epic during the holidays, and it started tonight. Barbara, wait. I wrote down to pray for you the other day, and I am going to continue throughout the holiday season. And I am going to definitely do everything possible to make sure there's plenty of content put up, so that people have the ability to come together and connect, pray for one another, all of those good things that help us get through. Fleetwood Mac is fantastic. So the Eagles. That was probably one of the best concerts I ever saw. I saw that with Johnny Scoville on his birthday. I think it was 1994. I got in front row center seats for the Hell Freezes Over tour. Melissa Etheridge opened up. It was in Houston. It was absolutely an epic concert, and I had been waiting. Vizito, it's good to see you. I had been waiting for them to get back together. I was waiting for the Hell Freezes Over tour for a long time. Boston, Styx, and Queen, solid. Boston is one of those bands. Every once in a while, a band comes around and there's just not one song that's bad. You know what I mean? Like everything they touched was good. Like Steve Miller did that too. Except for maybe Abracadabra, which isn't his best work, but it was years after he had put anything out. Duran Duran puts on a hell of a show. Absolutely. That was boy, that was a good time to be alive. I'm sorry. And you live through the times and you think to yourself, like I was so into oldies when I was in high school. Like the stuff I listened to was Pink Floyd and, Beatles, Stones, a lot of the older stuff. And you don't think you're listening to the stuff that's on the radio or anything else. And then you become old and they start playing on the radio and you know every single word. And I never bought any of those albums, but I know all of them. Now is my chance to fess up to Nickelback and Creed while you're at it. Hey, nothing wrong with Nickelback. I'm kidding, but there is the Creed thing. Reese makes a decent point. He does kind of sound like the Buffalo Bill character from Silence of the Lambs. Oh, wait. I saw the Eagles play Hotel California at late dusk. Magical. You know what? I was blown away when we saw them. They came out on stage, and that was the first tune. Like they opened with Hotel California, and it was just one of those. Wow, that's hard to believe. ELO, David Bowie, Stevie Nicks, Nine Inch Nails. I'm a big ELO fan. I really love ELO, and their lead singer, we've got guitarist as well, was on the Traveling Wilburys. Every time really great musicians get together, that dude's there. Tommy, you would love Mamma Mia. You know what? Someone else told me about that. It was a family member. But somebody else told me about that. You know what? I'm a fan. 2112 was an incredible album. When I was in high school, my brother was super into Rush. And I really dig that band. Seven Bridges Row is a great song. They're touring again this year. You knew that, right? And I wouldn't lead you astray, young Stolly. This is, they got a woman drummer. Jeff Lynne, you're a beast. Chow Yun Smut, thank you. They've got this lady who has got to be, watching her drum is like watching a much more attractive version. Yeah, I would be really stoked to see that. My best concerts were Billy Joel, Elton John, and Neil Diamond. Did you see Billy Joel and Elton John together? Because that was a hell of a tour. I think they did it twice. I saw people in Vancouver. The Division Bell tour. I saw the Division Bell tour in Louisiana, and I saw it in Houston. And I might have seen it in Austin. I don't know. At the time, we were really catching everything. I think I have seen. I think I've seen Billy Joel more than I've seen anybody. Yes, and separate. Oh yeah, I love that. Neil Diamond was incredible. I love Neil Diamond. I never had a chance to see him, but love Neil Diamond. I really do. I had probably 3 or 4 of his albums. Going back to when I was a young man, back in the couple of decades back, actually maybe a century and some decades back. Level 42 was also amazing live. Mark King is an incredible bassist. You know, it's a very different thing to put live music on and do it justice. You know, there are some like I'm always blown away when you watch Queen go on stage and do Bohemian Rhapsody in a concert. You know what I mean? Knowing how many times they had to dub that, roll it over, roll it over. And it's not like they went out with an orchestra and 700 backup singers. Like they went out there and busted that out with with a minimal amount of people singing and backup singing and equipment. They were a band that just, I don't know, to this day just kind of blows me away. ZZ Top is entertaining. I've seen ZZ Top a couple of times. You know who was great if you got a chance to see him? I think that the Ramones were an experience. That was just one of those things that if you ever got a chance to see, you didn't even get a chance to breathe in that concert. You know what I mean? Like when you see anybody, they come out and they do their hello, and it's so fantastic to be here in Cleveland, and they go through all that. The Ramones would come out on stage and they'd go, Dee Dee, the bassist, would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And they would kick in the first song. And when that song was over, they'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. And they would just do that until the end, right? Until and everybody's jumping around. It was an experience, to be sure. It really was. Back before auto turners, when talent was talent. You know what? I know I sound like an old man when I say stuff like that. You're right. Queen's lead guitarist is absolutely, Brian May is a beast. And you know what's really interesting is that guitar that he plays, his dad built for him. I'm thinking he went down to the crossroads. You know what I'm saying? Because that guitar, he shouldn't be able to make the sounds he makes out of that. It's really bizarre. You saw the Ramones. Debbie Harry, you know what? I saw the Ramones with Debbie Harry, but that was a pairing that played a lot, played at CBGB's a lot, played sort of everywhere. You want to see Johnny Depp's band, huh? The Hollywood Vampires. I did not see them. I never got a chance to see David Bowie, which is a bummer. Bowie was he was a force. Right? I mean, there are musicians, and then there are just people that kind of transcend style and culture. And he was just one of those people that really was something. For as long as I live, I'll never forget watching Freddie Mercury sing at Live Aid. He was already dying, I think. You know what? Yeah, it did. It got a little bit uglier. But yeah, Live Aid. He was. That was a sad thing because if Freddie, Mercury had gotten that, 25 years later, he'd probably still be alive. Well, that's just because I forget things. CBGB was great in every way except the bathrooms. You know what? The roof was, the ceiling was a little bit low, which gave you the kind of a claustrophobic thing. And my memory is that it was a lot of fun, but it smelled like pee. Whether you were in the bathroom or not, that's kind of my memory of CBGB, which was what? Country, blues, or country, bluegrass, and blues, CBGB. And they didn't play a stitch of any of that there. Yes, it's true. Reese, I forget things is what happens. I forget that I tell you. And Reese is one of those people that's too polite to go, hey, you've told me this 600 times. Until, I'll go, have I told you this? And she'd go, yeah, every 2 or 3 weeks since I met you. But, it's old age, I think. Saw Bowie several times in a small venue. Oh, no way. Less production. He's everything you'd expect and more. Oh, man, that's where you want to see people like that, right? The smaller the venue, the better. Nothing like the P stench. Well, it certainly was punk, right? CBGB was like the punk rock mecca. So, the bands that played there, that was just one of those things. I am absolutely passionate about that performance. I'm blown away by so much of what that band did, and did at a time when you just couldn't. They were doing very unusual things. Reese, you came in at the perfect time. There were idiots earlier talking about bands you just absolutely hate. It was almost embarrassing. Smelling like pee is punk rock. Yeah, you know what it is. I mean, sadly, do I remember the Little River Band? Reese, ever heard of the Little River Band? Love that band. And I love that band. Friday night, it was late. I was walking you home. We got down to the gate. And I was dreaming of the night. I love that band. They had about 4 or 5 really great songs. I think Reminiscing is probably the best of them, but they had a lot of good tunes. Love the Little River Band. Absolutely love them. You do not have a video of me singing Queen. See, Ashley G loves the Little River Band. Uh-oh. I had a Chiweenie. Honestly, I didn't mind the divorce. Losing the Chiweenie was tough. This was one of the best dogs ever. It was just an unbelievably cool dog. Yeah, I love the Little River Band. My husband's girlfriend is our Chiweenie. I have 2 boyfriends, our male dog and the cat. Just found out today that our cat is blind. No, he's hit it well. His eyes don't look cloudy, and he doesn't run into things. Well, that's fairly impressive. Well, I'm glad that your cat has a good family. You know, I think about it a lot with Squirrel. I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't be really happy to take care of her through. She's just such a fantastic animal. She really is. The Atlanta Rhythm section was part of my 70s. Another good band. You know what? The 70s had some great music too. Really did. I don't remember mentioning Nickelback and my girl in the same sentence. No, one of the questions that was asked to me was, what was my favorite band? And I certainly didn't throw that one out. True crime is what comes on before the Sherry Shepherd show. Here's the thing. There was a very different landscape on streaming platforms. I don't mean like, I mean on the Big Red Button and on all of the others. There were a couple of really great true crime channels that would play stories and play interviews and investigations and kind of get people fired up about it. The trouble is, now all they do is take the content that they've been doing for the last 6 years, re-upload it with a different thumbnail, put a new date on it. So it says as of 3 days ago. And the number of channels, Bryan Adams was great. I saw Bryan Adams a bunch of times in concert. Opened up for a lot of bands I saw. Opened up for the Stones in the Astrodome. I can't remember what year that was, but it was the 90s. He did get up on the desk and the table until recently. Well, all kinds of love. You'll help him find the catfish. Bob Seger. I have a great Bob Seger story. I have a fantastic Bob Seger story. I saw Bob Seger passed out in a place that I was eating at, and we sort of I was working as a public speaker, and my boss and I were in like a coffee shop, and he was just out on a table. And at the time, I didn't know it was Bob Seger, but I was like, "Hey, that dude doesn't look good." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's Bob Seger." And I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of Bob and the Silver Bullet Band. Love all of that stuff. So when we went back upstairs to get ready, this was in the morning, right? Like early in the morning, we're having breakfast. When we went back upstairs, there was a door open in the same hallway that we were in, and his boots, like cowboy boots and jeans, were out in the hall. The rest of him was in the hotel room, and we called downstairs for a little bit of help. Unpopular opinion: I can't stand Bob Seger. Heard way too much of him when I was a classic. Oh well, you know what though? See, this is legit. If you do anything long enough, you're going to get poisoned. And DJs, I've heard tons of DJs say this about different bands. Oh, I love Boss Skaggs. Boss Skaggs is absolutely phenomenal, and a very nice guy. Steely Dan, another great band. I saw Steely Dan on their second tour. Like, they didn't tour much. They were, really more of a studio band. The Big Red Button changed all our usernames. Thanks, YouTube. Very cool. Well, it does happen, right? The Big Red Button is nothing if not unpredictable. Yeah, the Becker Fagan. I was listening to the radio on the way to play golf, and the DJ came on as 106, I think was the station. Johnny Scoville was here. He'd correct me if I'm wrong. But it was they had a morning show, and whenever there was a new concert coming out, it was like you'd hear it Monday morning. And they went Becker, Fagan, Steely Dan. After, I don't remember what it was, 20 years or whatever. Do you know what a Steely Dan is? I do know what a Steely Dan is. This is one of those great pieces of kind of rock and roll lore, but it came from a book by Burroughs, right? It's a marital aid. It was was it Naked Lunch? I don't think it's from Naked Lunch. That's not the Burroughs book it's from. You know what? I read Naked Lunch. In fact, Naked Lunch is one of the most twisted stories ever. I loved Burroughs when I was younger. I really did. But, well, he's a strange cat, isn't he? I mean, Steely Dan has a few good songs. Steely Dan has a lot of great songs. Way back when, in 67, Peg. Wow, you know what? I'm putting this up here because you just, yeah, it is and in the book by Burroughs, it is not just but it's attached to like an all metal dude that's attached to the marital aid. It's like a automatonic man with a sex toy attached to him. Yeah, you know what? See, you just don't see that one very often, do you? I mean, come on, it's been a while. Has anyone seen me put that? It's probably been 6 to 8 months since I was able to get that up. Steam powered. Okay, then, yeah, my man's right then. It was absolutely steam powered. Well played. So it is Naked Lunch. Why am I confusing that? That's the South America and the bug spray and and he becomes an exterminator and he's getting high on the stuff. That is the same book, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So, hey, it's time for that William Tell trick. That's a brutal story, man. Brutal story. And part of it is based on his life, which is creepy. I'm reading Industrial Society and its future. Oh, very cool. You know what? I am a fan of reading. Louisiana LaRue, my first concert. I don't remember. It was either Steely Dan. No, I'm sorry. It was either George Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyers or the Clash. It was one of those two. Never heard of Naked Lunch? It's here's the thing. Like there are people that hate Burroughs, and if you're not a fan of that genre, then you might not dig it. Oh my goodness, that is horrific. Where, what state did this happen in? That's what a horrific. Anybody that murders an infant and a teenage babysitter should never get out. I mean, that is just that's horrible, man. Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters were great. There's a movie adaptation of what? Of The Naked Lunch? You're kidding. Is it Wicked Old? Who's in it? I would like to see that. Reese is not lying. And it's not just the best Italian food on planet Earth, but it's a show that's attached to it. Although the show has moved, Quibs. We will never dine in that particular restaurant again. The restaurant has moved. It opens Thursday night. It was going to be, I think, tomorrow night, but it's Thursday night. Oh yeah, there's a lot of great steak places on the Malecone. There's or if not, one street away. Second Street's got a couple of really good ones, and there is a good one on the Malecone, but it's further up. Reese will know what I mean. By the heading away from like the boardwalk proper and out of town. If you're going out that way, there's a really good steak joint on the left. The Naked Lunch is from 1991. Holy crap. It must have been a flop because I was already reading Burroughs by then. I would have been stoked. Either that or it's just got nobody in it. Hello. Yeah, I would absolutely love to see that. I can say that honestly too. The best food I ever had is in Ecuador. They're just not. It's kind of a cult classic. You know what, man? If you give it the thumbs up, I'm not even playing. I will go and I will check it out. I absolutely will check it out. You know what? I do a lot. I cook a lot of steak myself. I really do. I cook a lot of it. No way. Peter Weller is in it. Judy Davis is in it. Ian Holmes. The, oh my God. Hold on one second. That's embarrassing. That's got the greatest lineup ever. All right, Quibs, you know the next movie we're watching. It's an old movie. It's not going to be cut in such a way that it's going to mess with me. Peter Weller, Judy Davis, Ian Holm, and Roy Schneider. You got to be kidding, man. Yeah, I got to see that. Peter Weller, yeah, that's the guy from RoboCop. You know what? I would, and that was right around RoboCop, right? So he was a young dude when this came out. Oh, I got to see that. I blame you for this. It's not a blame game, right? We know it's nobody's fault, but a decent amount of the blame has to go your way on this. Roy is from Jaws, no question, and a couple of other. He's been in a, but that's probably the most famous one. I just got around to watching Marathon Man. Huh. Is that the one where he's in the dentist and they're torturing his teeth? Don't want to see it. You've never watched Casablanca? You have never watched Casablanca? There is not an excuse for never having seen Casablanca. Unless your boyfriend falls asleep every time he's planning on putting it on. That is almost a legitimate excuse, but nevertheless. No, you know what? Every time we were like, this would be a great night to watch Casablanca, Reese and I are kind of we're kind of idiots. We laugh at the same stuff, and we end up watching the same films. Like there are certain films we'll watch 9 or 10 times because we laugh harder every single time we see it. I've never seen Casablanca. Okay, look, enough people have said it. Here's the deal with Casablanca. It is an incredible film for a lot of reasons. One of them is it's a Nazi movie made before the Nazis had lost the war. That's kind of crazy, right? Most Nazi movies were not made in that time frame. So it was kind of a daring film of sorts. But if you take the top 100 movie lines of all times, like 10 of them come from that film. And some of the greatest misquotes of all time are from that film as well. But Miracle on 34th Street is incredible. You haven't seen that one either. That one you really have to see. I am much older. I'm considerably older. But in my defense, I have nothing else to say in that sentence. I just wanted to say in my defense. Casablanca really is an excellent movie. It's worth seeing 40 or 50 times. It's a love story in the true sense of the word. I saw that Rick Moranis is coming out of retirement to do Spaceballs 2. I'm almost afraid. Really? Are they going to have Daphne Zuniga come back and play the Jewish princess? She went to my high school. True story. She went to my high school. Can't we go to dinner at 4 like old people? We do go to dinner at 4, and then I'm asleep by 7. It's just kind of how it works. You haven't seen Gone with the Wind? Wendy, you have homework to do between now and the next time we get back here. You literally listed like half of the great classics of all time. You got to at least have seen 1 or 2 of them. Look what I found. Squirrel, not zipper. You want to bite me? Ow. Live. What's the matter with you? Those are love bites. Don't let her fool you. She's not wanting to kill me. It does sometimes look like that when she's really chewing on it. Just Jones says, I did see Gone with the Wind and hated it. Frankly, I didn't give a damn. Cat fight. Cat fight. Aw. They love each other. Sorry. You'll probably just see it on a short tomorrow. We've got this whole place wired for sound. I have seen The Long Weekend. Citizen Kane is absolutely incredible. It really is. But you know what? There are films that don't age the same way. You know what I mean? Like there are some films that I think in 100 years, Caddyshack is going to make people laugh the same way that it does now. But The Lost Weekend, yeah, an amazing film about addiction. Some of these movies, though, like Citizen Kane, I remember showing that to Spanx Calhoun when he was a kid, and the whole, the Rosebud, he was pissed when he found out it was a sled. Like he had lost his mind. He was really angry about the whole thing. Another great movie about addiction? It had Frank Sinatra in it. Have any of you seen The Man with the Golden Arm? That is he does a hell of a job. Every once in a while you see somebody play in a movie and it's a movie about addiction or about an addict, and you think to yourself, they almost had to catch a habit to play it that well. And I think that there's something to that with a little bit in that performance with Sinatra. And in the movie Sid and Nancy, Reese loves him. I can't think of the actor's name, but he played Sid Vicious. It was one of the first roles he ever played when he's a really, really young man. And he killed it. But you can't convince me he wasn't doing dope. Like, it's so realistic, the scenes when he's kicking. I love most of the classic stories. There's a reason why they're classics. I love that Gone with the Wind has beauty and sadness. And it does. The Days of Wine and Roses was rough. True story. Gary Oldman, Jamie Palmer, ding, 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 ding. Hopkins, no, but that was a safe bet. You know what, though? I should be happy, because there's nothing worse than if you go, oh, wait, no, my girl loves him, and like 60 names come out. It's like, 100. Did not know that. Gary Oldman played Sid and was absolutely incredible. I mean, he was a kid. I think I was in 10th or 11th grade when that movie came out. But the scene of him dope sick on the subway, it's every Academy Award ever should go to him. It was one of the most just ridiculously well acted scenes that, I kind of walked away from it going, if he did not get high for that and learn what it was to be dope sick, then he's just maybe the best actor that ever lived. No, I loved Spaceballs. Not a movie of intelligence? I beg to differ. There are some really great lines in that. Courtney Love was in Sid and Nancy? I don't think that can't be right. That can't be right. How old is Courtney Love? Blood In and Blood Out's a tough film. The padlock he wore around his neck in the film was given to him by Sid's mother. Yeah, you know what? Sid's mom was kind of wrapped up in that whole ordeal. Sadly, that was a tough way to go, man. That heroin's a hell of a drug, isn't it? She was in the Larry Flint movie, to be sure, but I think she would have been too young. She was in that movie? God, how old is Courtney Love? For real. She played Nancy Spungen? I watched that movie. I've seen it many times, but I guess I probably saw it before I knew who she was. Yeah, Jamie Palmer says, I think it's safe to say I'm a Gary Oldman fan. Yeah, Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman is great in everything he's ever done. Oh, Young Frankenstein and From Mass. Young Frankenstein, if I only had 5 movies that I could watch for the rest of my life, Young Frankenstein would be one of them. I promise you. So with Tommy Boy, she was a friend, not Nancy. Okay, Renee B., thank you for restoring my faith in my brain and in humanity. I like The Fifth Element too. Courtney's 61. Okay, I can buy that. You haven't seen Young Frankenstein? It's absolutely remarkable. Bluka. You really need to see it. It's a movie that will make you laugh, and there are lines from that film you can use for the rest of your life. They're just funny. John Lithgow in Ricochet was a very cold villain. I didn't see Ricochet. I don't believe I saw that. You know what though? Yeah, John Lithgow. I'm trying to remember the film where he played a transvestite football player. The World According to Garp with Robin Williams. What? Why? Thank you. What big knockers? Thank you. We said they're replaced. The World According to Garp. There you go, Barbara. Yeah, just an amazing movie. Is Young Frankenstein like the older one with Lon Chaney? No, it is a comedy that has Gene Wilder in it, and all of those people that were in all of the movies that he did, like all of them, basically. This one was shot in black and white, and it's a comedy version of Frankenstein, starting right from Jump Street with Igor, like. He calls it the Frankenstein in this, played by Gene Wilder, refers to himself as Frankenstein. He doesn't want to be called Frankenstein because of his famous grandfather. And he meets Igor, who wants to be called Igor. It's Mel Brooks kind of laughter and Mel Brooks kind of shtick, but it's set to, that genre, the monster. The movie Lucas, yeah. You know what? Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr, Peter Boyle, and Marty Feldman. Marty Feldman is Igor. Peter Boyle's incredible in that too. I loved Terry Garr growing up. I just thought she was so funny. Wasn't it from 1974 or 75? It was. It absolutely was from like 74 or 75. Cloris Leachman is so fantastic in that movie. See, put that on the list, Reese. That's another one we have to see. After Casablanca. Yeah, after Casablanca. And this other film. I'll tell you about later. It's a comedy. High Anxiety, Blazing Saddles. High Anxiety is one of my favorites too. I think that was the first of that type movie I ever saw. Yeah, Peter Boyle plays the Frankenstein monster in that. You know what, Audra in Denver? I've said this on my show before, and nobody ever gets the reference. Letterman was in love with Terry Garr. Every time Terry Garr came on his show, he tried to get her to take a shower. Remember this? I know Audra remembers this. But that was like a thing with him. He'd be like, Terry Garr's coming on. Let's see if we can't get her in the shower. And that was just a shtick that they did for years. Support your local sheriff with James Gardner. Yeah, he spent a lot of time talking about Terry Garr and yes, trying to get it into the get her into the shower. Put on the man. Chow Yun Spot. That's that dance scene is fantastic. It's all fun and games until the fire starts, and then it just gets ugly. You know what, people? This was fun. I like it when a show occasionally comes apart at the seams and we talk about whatever we want and laugh. He had a huge crush on her. He absolutely did. I have made it a goal to watch all the older horror movies like Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney. You know what? You're not going to be disappointed by that. Before there was all of the high-tech stuff, before there were all the different ways to make it look like, someone's face is falling off. And, horror, now it's, somebody gets killed in the first scene. They put him in a drawer. You forget about him. 20 minutes later, somebody opens that and the head comes out with blood all over it. And, and the music scares the crap out of you. But back in the day, it was different. They had to sort of actually be scary in order to get your attention. There was one film in the town that I grew up in. I watched them film it. And it was called Ghost Story. A Ghost Story. It had a lot of really big names in it. Twilight Zone was great and always will be great. He did. He dropped the brain of the famous scientist, and The only one he could find was Abby something or other. Abby Normal. I always watch Dutch during Thanksgiving. I'm trying to think of Thanksgiving films. You know what's a great Thanksgiving movie? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You want to see a good one? Check out Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, I really love the old stuff. Um, I really do it, and maybe it's because I can watch it. You're right; it was based on that book, and Fred Astaire was in it. And as a little kid, I ran into him, and I mean literally ran into him. Like I very easily could have hurt him. My head kind of got him in the leg. I was running through town being an idiot with my friends. He was super nice and polite to me. It freaked me out. I was like, holy crap, I know who that is. And then I think my brother may have stolen the statue that was supposed to be. I think my brother might have had a hand in that. They had a statue that was erected in the middle of town as part of the background of the film, as part of the to give it an older look. And my brother and some of his friends may have wahooed off with that thing. See, it all starts with Johnny. John Kenny, Steve Martin, awesome duo, true story. Anna Banana. See, that movie freaked me out too. One of the reasons is because it's like the bridge at the end was the bridge I used to swim, under as a kid. Like that town, they really used that town as part of the film. And well, it was my town. It was weird. It's the bad special effects, if there are any, but I have to learn to appreciate that they did it the best way they could. You know what? I would say some of the really old, like Night of the Living Dead, right? Yeah, the special effects in that there. I mean, there's really not much of anything, but I think everybody knows I'm a pretty big fan of Star Trek. And if you watch the old 1966 one, right, and you take a look at that, you're literally looking at, you almost see the fish line holding the SS Enterprise up, and just the special effects were awful, right? And those, the communicators, those were so high tech. We thought, man, someday they'll have those. We could have been whipping out phones. It would have been so much more impressive. Now it's the tricorder and the communicator. It's pretty much all in one. That's right. Ghost Story is about three men who kill a woman and she comes back to haunt them. It's exactly what it's about. And as they age, she comes back to haunt them. It's a scary movie. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, no, I think that's fantastic. I think that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of film noir. I love black and white. A lot of people are not enamored with it. I love black and white. Deep Space Nine is probably the only other Star Trek that I watched. I watched the original one, was super, super into that, and then ended up somewhere else. The movie that scared me to death when I was a teenager was Amityville Horror. Traumatized after that. Can't really watch anything scary now. That's funny. You know what? I think everybody has one of those films, unless they're a liar. But everybody has a film that the first time they saw, they were like, what the deuce was that? Like, no one should be able to make that movie. The one that really messed me up as a kid was The Shining. That was like the first horror movie that I actually saw all of it. It scared the crap out of me. Super bummed out. And then no film really got to me until The Exorcist. Damien scared me. I'm still scared of Damien. And then I've told this story on the boat before, but I went and saw the first Hellraiser with Johnny Scoville. And you go to the movie theater and you get the same snacky kind of stuff. Like you get popcorn or you get juju beans or like a quarter ounce of psychedelic mushrooms. Well, we went with the psychedelic mushrooms. And it's probably not a great movie to see tripping. Just throwing that out there if you end up wanting to, if you end up wanting to go down that road, maybe don't do it. But we watched this film and I was kind of freaked out. I didn't have a really good time. The Omen, yeah, all bad. Damien scared the hell out of me. Scared me, still scared. But that was Pinhead, the first time you saw Pinhead in a movie. So I went home and I was like, I wasn't having a good time, man. Like I really wasn't having a good time. And my my brother was getting a fairly good laugh out of it. This was long before cell phones and pagers and all that. So I went home and I'm laying in bed having a real bad time, right? Not having a good time. And my phone rings. And if I don't know if you've ever shroomed, but every once in a while, like something will happen, you'll realize that your phone is 2.5 miles away, and you gotta. So I go trucking over there, and I'm trying to be stealthy at the same time because I'm not having a good time. And I pick up the phone, and in the deepest voice you've ever heard is Johnny Scoville going, "Your suffering will become legendary, even in hell." And I was like drop the phone. It required an entire roll of this stuff. Scared. I'm still pissed about it. I really am. I think it was like 1987. I'm still pissed. Phantasm was awesome. Was another movie that I just don't like. For some reason, the old man in Poltergeist haunted my brain. Had to sleep on my parents' floor for 3 nights. I was 15. You know what? This is no joke. Another Johnny Scoville story. But we saw that dude in front of a cemetery. I'm not even joking. This guy was a dead ringer for this dude. And once again, we may or may not have been getting something other than the popcorn, right? But we were walking by a cemetery in my hometown. And there was the guy with the big brim and all that standing out there, the white shirt. I was creeped the hell out. And as we walked by him, I wish Johnny was here. As we walked by him, the guy was like this. All of those people are dead. He points at the cemetery. And we went, poof! Right? All you saw was the bottom of our feet, our butts, and the back of our elbows. Like, see ya! Trying to pull past each other. Scared the crap out of me. Scared the crap out of me. I didn't survive the opening credits of The Exorcist, but I love the TV show. That man in Poltergeist was scary. Just say it. No, this dude, I was traumatized. If I wanted to go and do anything in my hometown to avoid this freaking cemetery, it was like having to walk a mile in the opposite direction, and it became a habit. It became a habit. And it's really funny because I look back on it now and I'm like, I was probably 12. Johnny was probably 16, or I was 13 and Johnny was 17 or something like that. But now I'm getting to that age. And if I had a big ass hat like that, I would scare the crap out of kids. But, I would stand by the graveyard and wait for the kid to come by, point at all the gravestones. All of those people are dead. I can completely see that. But at the time, I was just fairly convinced that it was Satan himself, right? Bifurcated tail, carrying a hay fork. You know the drill. Scared the crap out of me. Scared me. I'm not going to lie. Scared me. I'm always a little freaked out by the things that you can't punch in the face, right? You lose a fist fight, it's not that big a deal. But if it's one of those things that you can't see or get your hands on, that kind of scares the hell out of me. That poor old man looked like a skeleton with skin. Yeah, except not quite as tan. The first Exorcist was rough. Yeah, but Exorcist 3 goes far beyond that. It's so good. And I'm not trying to be rude or say anything that's going to offend anybody, but Exorcist 2 and 3, with all due respect, that's like slamming your male member in a car door and then being silly enough to do it again and maybe a third time. No, once the green split pea vomit and the head turning around backwards, I'm gonna pass. How about no? That's funny. I can see you scaring kids. I'm not gonna lie. I think that might be fun. One time, to get my son and his friend to shut off the loud music, I warned 2 times. The third time, I acted like I was the cops. I laughed myself to sleep. Not he or any of his friends said a thing about it. I love that. I really do. I love that. I remember taking Spanx Calhoun to see Men in Black. It was the first Men in Black. And he was going with a friend of his, right? And they were probably 5, or 6 or something like that. And as we're going into the theater, I buy the popcorn and all the stuff for Spanky and his friend. And he goes, "Hey, can you and Mom sit over there and just sit away from us?" And I went and sat down and I looked at my first wife. I was like, "We're uncool. We're uncool. I would love the chance to put on that big black hat and be cool one more time, scare the crap out of some kids." Exorcist 2 was crap. However, amazing. George C. Scott. What? That's some heavy duty names for a movie that never should have been made in the first place because it's evil and scared me. I'm just saying. I don't know. The Exorcist films as a just as a genre. Yeah, I don't mind reading horror, but watching it, it's like I don't know. It's like being Johnny Scoville's little brother. Like I like hot sauce. I don't think I want to eat 30 Carolina Reapers in a sitting. I like having. I like getting scared a little bit. You know what I mean? But Scooby Doo will do it. You know what I mean? You've ever watched Scooby Doo? They have some pretty tough adventures. Ghosts, whatnot. It's kind of where I draw the line right there. Yeah, he was only 6, and I was already uncool. And here's the crazy thing: at that point, I mean, by most people's standards, I wasn't your run of the mill dad. At that point, I was pretty much a lunatic. How does your stomach survive 30 Carolina Reapers? That's an excellent question. Not one I intend to find out. In fact, I'm going to put it on my list of things not to do, right up there with Exorcist 2 and 3. No hard feelings, Cricket. Alrighty, peeps. I have a very, very demanding woman that if I don't go take care of right now, she won't talk to me for days. I'm telling you. Since Squirrel has gotten demanding, I don't know if you've seen any of my shorts, but Squirrel has gotten demanding to a point where if I don't take care of her, man, I pay for it. You thought I meant Reese, didn't you? Don't get me in trouble. I was talking about my cat. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, go see Casablanca. What is the matter with you people? I think that this is like there's required reading. You can't get out of high school if you haven't read like Oliver Twist or something. You really should have to see Casablanca. Read Catcher in the Rye, see Casablanca. These should be required stuff. That's all I'm saying. I'm Tommy. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you spending some time with me. I really do. Have a good evening. God bless.